Good morning, Predicted Trades family. Today is Tuesday, May 10th. Hope everyone had a great weekend and a great day yesterday trading. Yesterday, we talked about being near and slipping below previous low of year and setting new ones. Can we get back to that previous low of year of 40.56, which was, I believe, last Monday's low? Yes. We ultimately end up rejecting there on a trend line from the highs, right? Every day I'm going to say, if I haven't drawn them, draw a trend line from your highs or lows, set up what the trend is. Today we bounced at a new low of year. Definitely come in, draw your trend lines, right like that. We need to continue to hold this trend line and keep bouncing for upside. We do have a squeeze top hovering right near that previous low of year, and the squeeze bottom is right at the overnight low and the new low of year. So we have a squeeze right at our key levels above and below. We are starting to get through this downtrend overnight, and we're bouncing at this trend line like we should, and at this second Keltner like we should if we're going to continue higher. But resistance sits above, so let's see if we can get through the pre-market highs so far, get up to test these squeeze tops, just to roll back and test this trend line. If we give this out, we're going to be retesting 4,000, where we have the start of another small squeeze, 30-minute. This being an hourly. So if we give up the trend line, going to test 4,000 in the bottom of this squeeze. If we give that out, we're going to retest the bottom of this squeeze to get near these lows. Can we just continue to slip and sell off? It is always possible. It's not uncommon for us to have a Monday down, then gap up, and start seeing some decent upside. We are definitely still bearish, right? But in a way, we're already at second Keltner, third Keltner's only so far. Sometimes we need to go higher before we go lower. So definitely watch these key levels today and this squeeze, because it could just be a day of chopping around. Why is that? We do have some Fed speakers today. Yesterday, we got this Bostic guy, or person, sorry. Today, Tuesday, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Fed presidents or whatever talking today. I believe this person yesterday said something like 75 point hike is possible and will be done if it's necessary to battle inflation, yada yada. So I think when he said that, whatever time it was, it says 8:45. But then, the statements come out later is when he spoke at 8:45. So the statements start rolling out, on Bloomberg and whatnot. And there was a statement that kind of tanked us at one point. So anyway, overall, we do have a lot of Fed speakers today to keep an eye on. And that could cause us to just kind of chop. We did make it to this big key 4,000. Which we haven't touched since last April, meaning the entire last year just hit zero. So we could easily see a little sideways action as a ton of big money starts to reposition, hitting such a big key level. So let's see if we can keep bouncing. Let's see if we can remain strong. We also, economic calendar-wise, another reason we could chop today into Wednesday, we have CPI coming out. Just like sometimes we chop going into FOMC on Wednesday. So, CPI on Wednesday going to be very key. We also have the federal budget at 2 p.m. We have initial jobless claims on Thursday and on Friday. We have this University of Michigan 5-year inflation expectation that comes out maybe so often, I think monthly. So in December, a lot of folks that I know in these circles pointed out that this University of Michigan report in December could start to spell a correction in the market. And if you go back and look, this came out near the end of December, and pretty much since then, we've been going down. As this University of Michigan inflation report that comes out often, a lot of investors watch this. So, some key economic stuff coming out this week to keep in mind. Overall, we should never be afraid to play the upside. With Beast, we're going to see where there's opportunity every day. Yesterday, some folks, most folks, were able to pick up a put and write it down. We pretty much called the bottom, caught a bounce up to VWAP, and then we actually just kind of hit the same strikes over and over as they hit our buy zones and our sell zones repeatedly. This end of day sell-off was pretty nice, and those 4,000s off our system went about a $1.50 to $20 in that drop. So today on ES, watch this trend line. Let's see if we can stay above second Keltner. Let's see if we can get up to the squeeze top. If we get up to the squeeze top, this 40.50, where we rejected yesterday on that bounce. On SPX at least, I got up to 40.50, pretty close on ES, but let's see if we get a rejection here and start to fade. Definitely going to take a short back to the trend line. Should it give out, it'll add up to more, right? Ultimately, we need to hold the squeeze bottom, set a higher low off of this new low of year for us to continue up higher to the daily moving averages and this key shaded zone that we need to get back to test. In Q, looking nice and strong. Right now NQ's trying to lead. It's up 1.5 points, and YM's only up 0.75. Let's see, NQ's going to get to its squeeze top first, it looks like. So definitely keep an eye on for a gauge. Wouldn't be surprised for us to pop up and out of it for a second. We have to come back, tap it, and go. If we wick right back through it, we're probably going to come back down for some retesting. Also draw your trend line, because as sharp as it is, we'll know pretty quick, right? We're going to have a little pocket right here that we're either going to reject, come back and test and go, slip through it, come back and test and go, or reject and come back. So yeah, watch new low, recent highs here and here. See if we get a rejection and a chop around today on NQ. Ready. Way, way, way down. Let's see, overall, Ready lately has kind of been oscillating a little sooner than the other indexes. So if it can get through its squeeze top first, it might be a good tell. Overall, not a huge interest, just always watch it for a gauge. YM, squeezes are stacking up down here. Yesterday, YM kept holding up and kept holding up before finally making an H. So relative strength pretty good, and already back up above where it kind of sold off for that H. Bouncing, you know, a little higher than the support that we bounced at yesterday. As you can see, all these wicks, all these closes, right about where we bounced, and we're moving higher. So let's see if YM can get up and start to lead. As some of you know, when we have all of these squeezes stacked up like this, we can see some dramatic movement at open, sometimes from top to bottom and back. But if we want to get through the top, we tend to kind of hit and grind on them for a while. They open up, we might have a dip, and then rip through when they're not there anymore. Let's see. Trying to think or find a good example. Like here, they were stacked. You know, we bounce around them, hit the top, almost to the bottom, right back to the top, and then we grind, pull back. As they open up, we try to get through, you know. So, let's see. A lot of squeezes stacked on YM today. Lends to the chop. That is a potential. Watch this little squeeze here at this 32,200. I said as long as we keep staying above 200 yesterday, we're looking good, and we kept getting some really nice bounces. So yeah, staying above 200 is good bullish sentiment. If we do hit these squeeze tops and come back for a retest, definitely want to see that 32,200 hold. Apple. Haha, already back above 153. That's good to note. It's kind of that pre-market low yesterday. And we kept looking like we were going to get taken off every time we get through it, but kept coming back ultimately with the market. So nice to see we're gapping up and above it. If we do go down to take a test, check that pre-market low, right around 153.18, 153.20. Would love to see that hold on Apple. That would be good bullish sentiment for tech continuing to the upside. If that gives out, definitely going to fill the gap, I would assume, right back down this 152, right? And we have our squeeze from 155, 155.8, and 150 and a half up to that 151 and a half. So let us see if Apple can hold that gap and keep on trucking. But definitely love it above 153, and looking like it wants to lead to the upside relative strength wise. AMD. Same deal with most of tech, little gap up here. Back to some key levels that we've already consolidated and pulled back from, so definitely keep an eye on that 87, 89, right around 89, which is kind of where we sold off from last yesterday. We could see rejection there and a pullback to make sure we don't want to head lower and fill the gap. On AMD, Amazon was looking pretty strong yesterday for a second, like it was going to hold the market up. And then it just kind of slow grinded. You know, not a huge move for opening kind of near 22 and only getting down to 22.60. So right back up above 22. Let's see if gap will hold, see what market does. Not a huge interest on Amazon, but there's a trend line here, right? That we just keep coming to test. If we can't get through it, there's going to be some downside for Amazon in the market. But if once we can start to get through this trend, we do still have that split coming. So that's kind of when I'm going to take interest. Let's see if it keeps rejecting that trend. Cat with the market yesterday back to the daily 200. That's what this yellow line is. You can see on earnings, we pulled down up through it, but then right back above it. And when we get near it, we keep bouncing. We're right at it. And pre-market, yep, pretty much on it. So let's see if this can be a great spot for a cat to rebound to get back up to recent highs. If it keeps giving out, keep an eye on 205 as a spot for a 2 bottom. Facebook. Yesterday we're looking very strong in the morning, getting above 200. Dip with market and back up to 200, right at 200. We have a squeeze there. So, going to be some positioning going on right at this 200. We do have this gap fill below from earnings that we have not gone to retest yet. Relative strength looking good. We are at this 195.32. We've got this 205 as the target above. Let's see if we reject 200 and come back for a little loading. Want to see 195.32 hold to play upside if 195.32 gives out. Keep an eye on this gap fill, which starts right at around 193.11. If we start to lose that and market slips, this could fill quickly to catch up with the market. Market down at second Keltner. Facebook just a hair under the mean. So they're trying to hold it up while the market is trying to bottom. Market keeps slipping, they might just give it up to pick it up cheaper. If market can hold and take off, this is poised to try to lead. So keep an eye on Facebook, relative strength. Google, not quite the relative strength, but definitely was not diving with the market in the morning, just sideways, then tried to push. Gave it up, you know, a little harder than I would have liked. Would have liked to see it close above the low, but overall, we're right back up. So let's see. Looked like she wanted to lead yesterday. See if she can today. If Facebook's going to get love, Google can too. Just XLC in general could use some love overall. So let's see if Google can stop playing catch up and start catching up and leading. Definitely keep an eye on the daily 8 and that Keltner above as the main target if we can start to clear 2300. GS. Ugh, not a huge interest. Big old squeezes setting in, but luckily right now they're wide. So let's see rotation wise what we get. Little gap up, kind of around here right now. So kind of the middle of the squeeze right now. Let's see if we get kind of that early morning rotation into finance YM and whatnot. A rejection to come back, but ultimately if this does go squeeze top to squeeze bottom or dip squeeze bottom to go to squeeze top, that is a decent spread of about 7 points. So those 3 10s, I don't know, 3 15s definitely. I can't remember what GS is it, every point or every, no, 1.5, yeah. So every 1.5, so watch those 312.5, 315, upside, right? If we get there and start rejecting, 312 puts, 310, even 3.7.5 on the way down. Not bad if it's chop. As you can see, we can hit squeeze bottom, get to squeeze top, go right back to bottom. So, not a bad set up in the chop if this gets near a squeeze top or squeeze bottom. Just set your alerts, right? You don't even have to trade it until it gets there. Same with JP Morgan, stacking up on squeezes. Set your alerts. Set your alerts right here at these highs and lows that are right near the squeezes. If we just push up and start hitting this and can't hold, start shorting, lock up here, right? Start going long. Microsoft. Microsoft was, had one little pop and then was kind of weak and drove us down most of the day, but right back above and bouncing at this big old 2-day squeeze, daily squeeze. So, daily squeeze, a few days in. Let's see if we just chop around at it today to get going back through this gap that we have now filled, right? Keep an eye on squeeze tops and Keltners above for rejection, and basically want to see it hold 265 in the squeeze bottom. We can get as slow, I guess, as this 263 and this lower time frame squeeze bottom in the middle of this daily, but ultimately Microsoft needs to start getting back to leading since it's trying to look strong after earnings. They brought it back, just like we talked about on Facebook. They tried to hold it up, then let it go to get it cheaper. Well, we're at the cheaper. Time for them to start picking it up again. Netflix probably still not a huge interest because it's down on earnings, way below third Keltner. As we can see from our handy dandy Keltner tool. I guess I gotta expand this a little bit. Boom. Keltner tool. We are down at fourth Keltner. So not a huge interest on Netflix unless you want to keep shorting every pop until it proves itself. But she needs time. When she goes down on earnings, she needs like 5 weeks. So NVIDIA, we've got earnings at the end of the month. We are down near second Keltner. Now that we're above 171, 170, let's see if we can hold that. That kind of represents the gap, right? Close near 169.5. We keep bouncing right around 171, so let's see if that little gap zone can hold us. We are right at this kind of a down channel that we've been in. So if we don't see some popping at open, we could see fill the gap or test this gap to get going again. On NVIDIA, QQQs back above 300, trying to push. Like everything else we've covered, we've got these squeezes in place. Right back at these highs and lows, so let's keep an eye and see. We could start to push at this second Keltner, have a pullback. The pullback does not have to go to the squeeze bottom, but if it's going to be a day of maybe lower volume chop because of all the Fed speaking and because of the economic data coming out, CPI and whatnot tomorrow, you know, they could just pop it up to squeeze tops, let it fade back. Doesn't have to get to bottoms. They could pick it up halfway, whatever. Draw your trend lines. Let's see what happens. Roku. Roku, you know, not getting beat up as hard as some streamers, and, you know, after earnings was trying to get lead up as far as streamers go. But Roku is sub 100. This thing is down, down, down. Draw your trend line. You know, I'm not touching this long until it starts to get through a downtrend, pull back and make sure it's going to hold and keep pushing. That's when I'll start looking at Roku to the upside. And there's just better stuff to short. Not a huge interest in Roku. Shop. Just destroying shop. Can't remember who made the joke in the room yesterday, but the market, shop doesn't need a split anymore because the market's basically taking care of it for. Great joke yesterday. Can't remember who said it, but you have my praise. Overall, just draw your trend lines. You can see we're starting to get through one from the last couple of days, but you know, you can easily draw another one here that we'll be testing right at around 360, right? So if you're looking for the next spot to short shop, you know, draw your trend lines. Can she push and pop up to 370? Running into all these old sell orders in this trend line. It's possible. Can she just keep selling? Absolutely. But if you're looking for the next pop to short, it's gonna be in this range. She might just go sideways to get momentum to get there and then die, so. So no, I'm probably just gonna breeze over this one. Yeah, not a huge interest. SPX, only point I want to make on SPX. We saw that awesome trend line on ES, right? This is why we track ES as a comparison and guide for SPX. You know, starting way back from last Thursday, from after this FOMC run up. You could have drawn a trend line from the highs, and we've rejected it every time we tap it. And yesterday, we talked about pre-market in our prep. We're about to tap it, so we get a down day. When it comes to SPX, since it has no overnight data, the trend lines can be a little wonky, right? So looking at yesterday, if you drew a trend line from, you know, here to here, we got nowhere near it. So that's why we watch ES as a gauge. Since ES opened and dumped, you know, SPX the same. Those 4,000s were the play. Once, twice, 3 times. They were a great play off of our system. So SPX today with a little gap up. You know, if you ever wonder where's SPX going to open, come on over to the options chain and see where the equal price is. Equal price meaning here's 29, here's 29. It's going to open around 40.30, 40.32, you know, somewhere around there. That's how you know how to gauge where SPX is going to open. Right around 40.30. And you know, you can also look at ES and the price that it's currently at as a gauge too. You have to add a little bit of a factor, $5 to $10. So yeah, anyway. Thesis for SPX, same for as ES today. See if trend lines can hold, yada yada. On SPX, looks a little uglier because we don't have that overnight action for the trend line, right? But definitely, you know, you can mark highs from the previous day. That's resistance we have to get through. So definitely watch 40.50 on SPX. SPY. Same premise, right? Nice, thick squeeze clouds. Let's see if we can get up to test them, or if we just reject pre-market high. We could set new pre-market highs since we still have time, but ultimately let's see if we reject the squeeze. That's where we short back down. Want to see it hold 400 for upside, giving out 400, send this right back down to test the low. Square, oh man, Square. So had earnings, looked good, destroyed it, brought it back, but market's, you know, getting its butt kicked. Yesterday, they dumped it real hard. You know, Square normally has like a 10-point ATR, so from 94, they took it down 15 points pretty much. Ultimately closed, you know, about that ATR. Starting to come back. We are firing, or we did fire, a big old 4-hour down, and it carried, and it carried. We start getting back to where that fired, it can bring it right back up. I've talked about before, the market has gotten wise to squeezes firing, and so lots of times we can see squeezes fire just to go a little bit and just reverse right back. So I don't think she's done, but also we've had Bitcoin's been going down, right? And that's going to impact Square. So overall, she still provides every day. Still loving her. Those puts yesterday definitely paid. Let's just keep an eye on the Keltners and the squeeze bottoms as targets. But yeah, still 11 square. Definitely going to keep an eye on her. Tesla. Oh, so they love to dump her and act like she's going okay and going to take off and dump her. If she gaps up, dump her. When she gets going, dump her. Dump her. She's got a lot going on, right? With the whole Twitter thing and Musk and whatnot. Now Musk is tweeting that he's getting threats from the Russians. I'm sure investors over there are having fun. So, overall, back above 800. We bounced at it yesterday after a little slip. We tried bouncing again. Ultimately, markets, everything pulled down. Back above 800, let's see if it can hold and start working our way through these other key levels, right? No real squeezes in play. After firing all these, gonna need some sideways action, which we might get today. Let's see how this 818, 820 level goes. If we can get up there, have to get through pre-market high. If we reject there, probably gonna roll back to test 800. And last but not least, let's look at VIX. 35.28 was the key level yesterday on VIX. We have topped out there a number of times. My ultimate top out level is about 37.5, but I like to draw around that key level to make a zone, right? If you go back in time and look, 37.5 is major reversal time. 35.28, but really 35.30, that's kind of my key. VIX, easy reversal, right? Now, if we really start to see a sell-off, we'll get up to that 37.5, and that's when we can, expect a more extreme reversal. But we hit it Friday, right, and died. Yesterday we hit it twice and died, right? We're back below this 33.50. Let's see if we can stay below it. If we get above, we got squeeze tops right back at that 35.30. Ultimately, if we can stay below 33.52, this little squeeze, 30-minute squeeze could fire to the downside on VIX, letting the market go higher, allowing VIX to get back down to test this 2-hour squeeze back down at that 29.30 level. So if we are going to get upside in the market today, VIX has to reject 33.52 or at least stay under. Head on down to the daily 8 and tap a 30. But as we are hitting the squeeze bottom on VIX pre-market, the market is getting near squeeze tops. So I love when things line up together. If VIX continues to hold the squeeze bottom and bounce to 33.52, we could see the market hitting those squeeze tops, topping out, and then everything can reverse. VIX could come up, tap these squeeze tops, these levels, 35, 35.30, maybe set some higher lows before rolling back over to ultimately take this out if there's going to be upside, right? But we have our levels for the day. Let's see if we just stay between them on VIX and on the market. Get some chop with all this Fed speak and with economic data coming out this week. Overall, I hope everyone has a great day. Oh, I see some folks dropped in chat. Good morning, Papa. Good morning, Drewski, Star. Appreciate all you guys every day showing up, killing it. Let's see. I feel like there's one more thing I was going to cover. Meh. Either way, everyone have a great day. We'll see you in chat. No beast, no feast. Wait and watch your beast zones with your calls and puts. Let's crush today. Even if it is chop, we will know exactly where to risk off of the beast system at predicted trades. Good luck today, everybody. See you in chat.